Good friends turn bitter enemies, but only one can remain. Sid Holland battles JCJ Saturday, July 21st at the Oakley Lindsay Center. No disqualifications. Loser leaves RCW.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of The Guido Goes Off. As always, I thank you folks for watching. Huge announcements in the world of professional wrestling over the past 2 days. Of course, the big one coming, I'm shooting at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So, yesterday, huge news. And that being a co-branded Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling event at Madison Square Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, it was announced yesterday that New Japan and Ring of Honor will be hosting the G1 Supercard. And it'll be held on April 6th at Madison Square Garden. So that's right, this is going to take place during WrestleMania weekend. As we know, Ring of Honor did announce that they were going to try to do their own show from the Garden, I believe on the same day. WWE somehow got that blocked or whatever. However, now adding New Japan into the mix, my guess is it was an offer too good to pass up for Madison Square Garden, so they are going to host this event. Of course, this is going to be huge. Of course, riding the success of All In to where, hey, we can finally try to fill Madison Square Garden for a show other than WWE. And so that's going to be the case. It has yet to be announced when tickets are going on sale. And, well, of course, who knows what the card's going to be, because there's some key members that could not be there. As we know, WWE is, of course, trying to lure away a good portion of the elite. As we know, making overtures towards Cody, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. But this is huge news. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know AAA's supposed to be doing a show there in September, which that, of course, will be the first time a wrestling event not put on by a McMahon has been in the vaunted venue since around the 1920s. We're talking like Capital Wrestling Corporation times. And now you've got this huge supercard event. This is big. This is really huge news because, like I said, it does diminish WWE's stronghold on Madison Square Garden. As we know, Madison Square Garden has been pretty synonymous with WWE. I mean, of course, the sellouts of Bruno Sammartino, the cage match between the Magnificent Morocco and Superfly Jimmy Snuka, the one that inspired Mick Foley to be a professional wrestler. All these memories, and this, and now another company coming into. Other companies are coming into this venue. It's really opening things up in professional wrestling. And as we know, WWE, even though they are flush with cash, are kind of turning away an audience. And, all these other companies are more than happy to pick that audience up. And so this is a huge win for independent wrestling. It's a huge win for more fan-driven wrestling and not mainstream sports entertainment. So, again, the show will take place on April 6th, which more than likely will be in direct competition with NXT TakeOver. Are they going to call it Brooklyn? Because now SummerSlam usually takes place there, and they usually call that NXT Brooklyn. Yeah, that does make you wonder, because usually that's NXT Brooklyn, because it's usually at the Barclays Center. So I guess NXT Brooklyn 4. I guess I'm really not sure, but it's going to be right in direct competition, more than likely, with the NXT Takeover event. Now, like I said, this is huge, and don't get me wrong, it's a possibility they can fill Madison Square Garden. As we know, this last WrestleMania weekend, Ring of Honor did huge numbers. I believe they sold 5,000 seats, selling out the Riverfront Auditorium in the New Orleans area for their Supercard of Honor last year. And adding in, of course, the New Japan wrestlers really bring, so you bring in that fan base as well. This could be huge and could lead to even bigger venues for Ring of Honor and New Japan, as we know, and as it was mentioned, New Japan announcing more shows in the U.S. With an additional 2 coming this later on this year, making it 4 shows so far in 2018 alone that New Japan is doing in the United States. And now this is big. So and we really hope it goes well, because I love wrestling, and if you watch this, you love wrestling. And to see, companies like this, being able to come, being able to grow now to get to the point where they can rival WWE. I mean, this hasn't been done in almost 20 years. WCW was like the only company to come close. And, here we are. We're at this point where we could see these huge numbers. And it's pretty positive. It's just a great time to be a wrestling fan, where we are seeing these kind of events going on, and not just in WWE, but now you've got Ring of Honor, New Japan getting a claw hold in the U.S. Impact is starting to grow again. And I mean, and it's going to take some time, but they're getting to where the show's enjoyable again, and they're able to keep stars. And like I said, right now, and of course, Lucha Underground, all these other great promotions. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, and now we're seeing companies grow. This is what a lot of fans have longed for. We just want to watch as much wrestling as possible and see as much wrestling as possible, and now we are getting an ungodly amount of wrestling. So again, more on this, like, as it develops, whether or not WWE is going to try and counter it or try to block it. But again, huge news out of Ring of Honor, New Japan. G1 Supercard, which will take place April 6th, which will be the Saturday before WrestleMania, in Madison Square Garden. Holy Lord, this is gonna be this is huge. It's north huge. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, that is really huge news. But other big announcements is this one from WWE. And that is an announced participant for the Mae Young Classic, a blast from the past, will be returning, ladies and gentlemen. Celeste Bonin, known to WWE fans as Kaitlyn, the former Divas Champion, winner of the all-female season of NXT, is going to be a participant in the 2018 Mae Young Classic. I believe I talked about that she had gone back into training. Nobody knew what was going to come out of it. Well, apparently this is what's coming out of it. That she is going to make a return to professional wrestling as a participant in the Mae Young Classic. And like I said, we've already got some huge announcements as far as some of the women that are going to be participants in this. The signing of Toni Storm, so more than likely she's going to participate again. Signing of Io Shirai, huge name in Japan. One of the best female wrestlers on the freaking planet. And now you've also got Kaitlyn returning as a part of the Mae Young Classic. I mean, wow. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, and there's another name that has been mentioned. Not quite successful in the ring as Kaitlyn, but still a very big name to announce in this. Maria Kanellis has said that she is going to participate in the Mae Young Classic as well. As we all know, she recently had a child with husband Mike Bennett. Mike Bennett has been working in NXT, getting back into ring shape. I don't know if he's going to stay there or if he's going to go back to the main roster. But now Maria Kanellis is going to herself get back into wrestling. I mean, what was that about? She's mad I picked her up. Now, Kanellis has gotten physical, but for the most part has been a manager ever since she left WWE. So it's going to be good to see her wrestling again. Like I said, she has been medically cleared. She's off of maternity leave, and now she's getting back into ring shape. And so, like I said, we get two big names who have been. I don't think Maria has been announced, but she's talking about getting back into ring shape for the Mae Young Classic. But Kaitlyn was announced by WWE themselves. So again, a huge development as it pertains to the Mae Young Classic. As we know, last year it was such a big event, and now I guess they're looking to make it even bigger. And while we're on the subject of women's wrestling, it has been heavily discussed that later on this year, sometime in the fall, the women of WWE will be getting their own pay-per-view event. Now, this does stem from the backlash from the greatest Royal Rumble ever in Saudi Arabia. Because as we know, no women were allowed, not even to show up, let alone compete. Now that, of course, being as much as Saudi Arabia is saying they're a progressive country, let's face facts, their record as far as equal rights for women is still shit. But this announcement coming up that has been discussed, it's a good thing. As we know, they've talked about their women, they've talked about their women, they've talked about their women, and right now you have the best women's roster on the planet, which just seems to be growing by leaps and bounds. As like I said, they've hired some huge names from the world over, and between the Mae Young Classic and now discussing having a women's show, I believe that this should happen because, like I said, you had this big event where you've been touting, screaming to everyone who will listen, how much, we have the best women in our women's revolution, women's evolution, and buzzwords and marketing. And then you do the event in Saudi Arabia, it's like, oh, sorry, we can't have women here. So honestly, it's only fair that the women have their own pay-per-view, and I think it'll be a big draw. I wouldn't make a steady diet of it, of course, but it'll be I think it'll be a big draw, and it will show that, hey, we support the women who work for us. So again, like I said, this is only discussed. Nothing has been announced. And as we know, WWE's pay-per-view schedule is kind of in flux right now, as they have, because of the Supercard event, the huge event in Melbourne, Australia. They've moved some things around. They've taken out, they've moved TLC from October to December, and I think are getting rid of Night of Champions because of this. But again, there's a lot of moving and shaking going on as far as WWE's schedule, as far as things that are being done. Of course, hiring, bringing back some big names for the Mae Young Classic. It's only, I think we could see a huge field of extremely talented women come August or whenever they're going to do this thing, because I'm going to watch. There's a lot I need to catch up on. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of The Guido Goes Off. As always, I thank you folks, once again, I thank you folks for watching. Welcome to the new subscribers. Thank you guys very much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, as always, you are invited to do so. The few but faithful seem to be growing, and we'd like to keep it going. And of course, if you have anything to say about any of the topics I covered on this episode, feel free to drop a line in the comments section below. And as always, you can talk to me on my various social media platforms. Of course, my Twitter and Instagram, and of course, the Facebook page, The Guido Goes Off. Please give that a like. This may be how you're seeing that. So if you're seeing it through the Facebook page, go ahead and while you're there, give the page a like. Jump into the conversations on my social media. And as always, please like this video and share it with everyone you know. So, until next time, I'm the Guido, and I think we're done here.